Trickle-Down Economics. It's not a thing.
The tax code is all bungled up into one great big hellish kitchen. Now, in order to unbungle it, we're going to go consult our expert.
Trickle-Down Economics. It's the so-called theory that by cutting taxes for all, including the wealthy, the benefits will somehow trickle down to everyone else. I'm here to tell you, it's not a thing.
Oh, Jimmy, you are so wrong. It is a thing. These three layers of cake represent the rich, the middle class, and the poor. This represents your tax dollars. As you can see, trickling down, most of your tax dollars stay on the top, leaving very little for the middle class and the poor. Trickle down does not work.
Of course it doesn't. It's not an economic theory at all. No serious economist or elected official has advocated for it, ever. The big problem with trickle-down economics is that the idea suggests three key fallacies that show why the saying shouldn't even be taken seriously in the first place. First, it makes you think there is a zero-sum game being played, where the wealthy will benefit at the expense of everybody else. This pits one group of people against another group of people, when in an economy, the pie is big enough for everybody. Second, it suggests that profits will trickle down only after the rich get richer. Thing is, businesses have to hire workers first and commit to pay them first before they produce anything to sell for a profit, presuming there's a profit in the first place. And third, it suggests that the benefits experienced by others are a mere side effect of lower tax policy. This is not so, because lower taxes are intended to benefit everybody by first letting everyone keep more money to spend and invest, which leads to the second benefit, widespread economic growth. Let's look at two examples. Under President Reagan, the top tax rate went from 70% to 50% in 1981, down to 28% by 1988. During his presidency, the economy grew by 36%. Median family income rose by 12%, and 19 million net new jobs were created, the equivalent of 25 million jobs today. The Kennedy-Johnson tax program of 1964 dropped the tax rate at the top to 70% from 91%, had no quarters of negative growth, and contrarily had substantial growth after the cuts, from 1964 to about 1969. If you think about it, trickle-down is really the wrong analogy. Rather, the right analogy is that a rising tide lifts all boats. Everybody benefits from across-the-board tax reform, as the pie gets bigger and the standard of living improves for all.
The theory is the rising tide raises all boats. Let's put that theory to the test. As you can see, it seems to be working. The rising tide is indeed raising the boats, proving that Jimmy was right and I was wrong. Big enough man to admit it? Crap. Jimmy, you're fired.
Right now, Congress is considering reforms to the nation's complex and onerous tax code. They've got some good ideas, but if something bold isn't done today, we'll be back where we started another 30 years from now. That's why we're proposing that Congress consider a fair and simple flat tax of just 15% on individuals and couples, with a generous standard deduction and a 9% business flat tax. These rates would actually help keep the federal deficit in check and at the same time spur economic growth. This system would simplify our taxes, cut out the backroom deals sought by special interests, and unleash prosperity for Americans of all stripes. And that is a thing. To learn more about our 2050 plan to redesign the tax code and our ideas on what Washington is considering, Log on to millennialpolicycenter.org today.